Hi everybody, welcome to episode 11 of the Brooklyn Knitfolk podcast. My name is Jacqueline. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry, Pinterest as @JacquelineSalem. This is a podcast about knitting, crafting, DIY, sewing, whatever I get up to in my day-to-day craft life. I live in Brooklyn, New York City with a roommate and 2 cats. This is one of them. This is Jafar. Say hi. He's precious. The only way you can tell them apart, if you've seen the other one, or at least for other people, is that he has socks on and she has her toenails painted. Like only the tips of her paws are white. You guys don't need to know this. Do you care? Anyway. Show notes for the podcast can be found on Ravelry, in the Ravelry group. There is a Ravelry group called the Brooklyn Knitfolk podcast. And yeah, I think that's all the intro stuff. I hope you guys have had a really great couple of weeks. I know I have. It's been really cold lately, but at least warming up a little bit. So I'm excited for spring to get here. Been crafting my little heart out and have some stuff to show you, so I guess we'll just jump right into that. Oh, the Brooklyn Knitfolk in the Wild. So if you guys haven't watched the previous episode or seen my uploads yet on YouTube, I've started a companion video blog or vlog series called Brooklyn Knitfolk in the Wild. Thank you to Katrina from the Yarn 30 podcast and Cat's Kettle Yarns for coming up with that much better name than whatever stupid thing I had before. So Brooklyn Knitfolk in the Wild is going to feature short videos, usually under 10 minutes so far, unless I find some reason that needs to be longer than 10 minutes, but short videos about different things in New York City that I find interesting or just different things about my life. The last one was about Strand Bookstore, and I'm really sorry to people in Germany who apparently can't watch that video because Marvin Gaye has legal restrictions against his music in Germany. I don't know what that was or why, but I was only able to see that after I uploaded it, so I'm debating on whether or not I want to find a different song to use for it, but in the meantime, I apologize for those of you who haven't been able to watch it, but it's just a vlog about New York City life, so a restaurant that I think is cool. I've just filmed that recently, but haven't edited it yet. Right now I'm working on a subway music video, which I'm really excited about, so I've been stopping every time I see someone playing music in the subway. There are some really talented folks out there, you guys, who just like play for the world in the subway system. So I've just been taking short little clips of that every time I see them in my day-to-day commute. And yeah, that'll be a video soon. So hopefully you guys are enjoying that. I'm having a lot of fun making them so far. So the 1,000 subscribers giveaway winners that I announced last week, both winners have not gotten in touch with me yet, but I think I'm going to go ahead and just ear burn them. I wanted to wait and see if they, so they could watch it themselves and be excited, but I guess they haven't watched the previous episode yet, so I'll just go ahead and get in touch with them. And we have another giveaway at the end of this episode. I'll talk about that, so stay tuned to the end to hear about the next giveaway. Thank you so much to you guys for sending me all your awesome stuff to share with the world. I love promoting your makes, and yeah, I think we can all have like so much to learn from each other and experience each other's stuff, so I think that's really cool. Alright, 2 podcasts that I've been really enjoying lately. First one, Riza Knits After Dark. Her podcast is very much like that whole sitting with a friend thing. It's very low-key, very much like I'm sitting with a friend. Like, she's a knitter and a knitwear designer, so that's really cool if you're interested in that. I'm not a knitwear designer, so I'm always fascinated by how people kind of come up with these projects in their brains. And it's just like very she's very down to earth. Cassandra, sorry, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Cassandra is like super down to earth, friendly, just like easygoing vibe, and I really love at the beginning of each episode, she does her podcast at night after her kids are asleep, and she does kind of like a beer, like instead of tea, you know, which knitters drink a lot of tea, she does like a what I'm drinking for beer, and so she kind of does like a little mini beer review, and I really enjoy that because it kind of gives me ideas for different ones to try out. So that one's really, really great. I think there's only 6 episodes so far. She just uploaded one this morning. So if you haven't checked that out and are looking for another one, Riza Knits After Dark. I'll have all the information in the show notes, of course, so you can go check those out. But that's a good one. And then the second one I've really been enjoying is the Charlotte and Gus podcast. Oh my gosh, you guys. I don't say this lightly, but Charlotte has probably the closest aesthetic to my own that I've ever seen. Every project she shows is something that I've like probably already have in my queue. The yarns that she knits with, if I don't already have them in my stash, I like go and look them up and bookmark them right away so I can buy them later. I love her aesthetic. It's so fresh and clean. It's very modern. She lives in Paris and podcasts with her co-host Gus the cat, which is super cute little orange tabby. And yeah, she has 7 episodes. Watched them all. As soon as I watched the first one, I was like, okay, that's one that I've definitely connected with. And so I just went and binge watched the rest of them. And she's currently designing a brioche wrap. And I was kind of poking around in her Ravelry group, and she's not even finished with the wrap, and she already has people asking if they can test knit it. So I think that she's definitely one to kind of keep your eye on. I think she just has a really beautiful, like I said, beautiful, fresh and clean, modern aesthetic, and I really enjoy her makes. So yeah, that's the Charlotte and Gus podcast. Go check her and Cassandra of the Risen Knits After Dark podcast out. So finished objects, if you can't already tell. The void in my life has been filled by the void shawl. Oh my gosh, you guys, I love this project so much. It was just, I do not exaggerate when I say I enjoyed every stitch of this project. And it's because it was just, Melissa of the Spicy Homemaker podcast described knitting nirvana. This was knitting nirvana. It is the softest yarn I've ever touched. Woolfolk, the Far base, which is the worsted base, in colorway number 2. I'll take it off so you can see it better. It's just merino wool, but it's just so soft. So it's the Woolfolk yarn combined with this gorgeous diamond pattern, and on my favorite needles, which are Addi Turbo lace tips. It's been blocked. It's longer than my wingspan for sure. It's hard to even get all this in there, but it's at least a foot longer than my wingspan. Yeah? You like it? Yeah. No, but seriously, actually, now that I say that, do you like it? As I was blocking it, normally I block my FOs on a yoga mat on my kitchen table, but this one was way too long to block on the table, so I had to block it on the floor. And Mika, my other cat, every time I would come out into the living room, she would be laying on it and like messing with it. So I don't know what it was. They haven't messed with any of my other knitting FOs, but for some reason they really love this one. So I had to like move it into the bathroom and lock the bathroom door. The bathroom door we always actually have to keep closed because they know how to turn on the faucet to drink the water. So anyway, this one was under observation, under lock and key in the bathroom because the cats kept laying on it. But I am just so pleased with how it turned out. I love this finished object. By far my favorite item that I've made to date. It is so warm. I was so concerned actually before blocking it that I was going to lose some of its softness. I was kind of like scared to block it because I loved it pre-blocked so much. But it turned out fine. So some things I would change. I mean, I do, like I said, I love it, but there are a few things that, you know, now that it's done, like things to improve on for the future. The first one is I would have knit a longer border on this, but truth be told, this yarn is not the, it's not the cheapest. So, and in fact, my friend Hannah of Circus Tonic Handmade Yarns, beautiful yarn by the way, you should definitely go check her out. Her neutrals in particular are stunning. But she even gifted me 2 skeins of this as a surprise one day, and it still took 5 skeins of this to finish the shawl. So, but if if money were no object, I probably would have added another skein to this to double the border. So the last skein literally was just on this border, so I would like to have had another skein to do a double length of that border, because it's not the deepest shawl. It got better with blocking, but it is a little bit short. So I would have extended the border to about double that length. And then the other thing is the pattern even suggests it, but I was still, like I said, I'm still fairly new to knitting. To insert a yarn over on the edge to make the edge stretchier, and it's not that it's like super stiff, not stretchy, but I feel like it would have benefited from that extra yarn over, and then you drop the yarn over when you get to it at the end of the next row to make that a stretchier edge. So that's the second thing, but I was like too nervous to do that because I was scared I was going to throw off the stitch count, because throwing off the stitch count in this was very noticeable. If you were off by one, it would have been very noticeable. And tinking with the left and right twists is really difficult for me to figure out. Not difficult to figure out, it's just like, it's very finicky. And I didn't want to create holes, because every time I've tinked in left and right twist stitches before, like on a previous hat pattern, it didn't go well. So I was scared to add extra stitches and throw off the stitch count in this. But in the future, if I see that as an option, I will definitely give that a go if the pattern is not too complicated. And then the last thing, it's not a huge deal, but it got a little bit better with blocking. This middle hump here for the cast on, I don't really know how to avoid that. And it's probably, you can't even really see it. I guess you can a little bit. This little middle hump here, I don't really know how to avoid this. But if you guys know how for future endeavors, it's just kind of, it's not super neat. But other than that, those are my only qualms. And I've taken some really gorgeous pictures of it pre-blocked, which kind of sounds a little sacrilegious. But I took some really pretty pictures of it, and I want to take some more with me actually wearing it, but I'm going to have to wait until my roommate gets back from her out-of-town trip that she's taking in Florida. So that's my void shawl. Super pleased with how it turned out. It's just, oh, I love it. Knitting Nirvana. So I'm just going to wear that. I wear it like this probably around my office, or I guess I could always do the, whoop. You get the idea, you know, around like that. But I'm in love with the pattern. Love it. So yeah, that's my finished object for the week, or the past couple weeks. Next one, works in progress. So I'm hosting the Fine and Dandy Cowl, which is a sock pattern by TheSweaterCo. The cowl runs until April 30th, so you still have time to cast on your socks if you're interested in joining the knit-along. And this is my Dolores Umbridge edition. I didn't make very much progress on these, as you can see, literally only like 4 or 5 rows on it, because I was dedicating so much time to this and to another work in progress. And I'm really in love with the pattern, but I am very aware of second sock syndrome with this for me. I'm already dreading casting on the next one because I just want to finish this and get it done. So I think what I'm going to have to do before I continue on, because I've just started increasing for the gusset. Excuse me. I'm going to buy another pair of needles so I can knit them concurrently, and I'm going to go ahead and cast on the other one and then just kind of knit them at the same time, like knit a few rows on this one and then switch to the other one and knit a few rows on that one. That way I can ensure that both socks will get done. I'm definitely the kind of personality that will fall prey to second sock syndrome. But this is the Stitch Together, the yarn is called Stitch Together. And the colorway is called Crazy Cat Lady. It's a stellina yarn. It is silver stellina. And it's kind of got these oranges and pinks and some flecks of kind of mossy green in there. and I'm knitting them on the smallest size. There are 2 sizes now of the Fine and Dandy socks. And I'm knitting the smallest size on 2.0 millimeter 0 US ones. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, whenever I think of socks, sock needle sizes, I always think of those in terms of millimeters, but everything else I think of in terms of US sizes. I think it's because there is variation among the US sizes, like a 1 could be 2.25 or 2.5, right? Or something like that. So I think that when I was like looking at the distinctions between that it just made more sense to think of sock size needles in terms of millimeter because it was more specific. But yeah, for some reason, whenever I think of sock needle sizes in my head, I automatically think of the millimeter size and not the US size. That little stitch marker there is one that I made from those little rubbery animals and speared it with a little bold safety pin. So yeah, I like how the pattern is working up. There are, if you haven't already seen, there's a lot of really good information in my Ravelry group on the Fine and Dandy Cal thread for how to, like best work the flower stitch pattern, or how to even knit the flower stitch if you don't know how. And then also like using a crochet hook for that last loop, because that can be kind of tricky. Just a lot of really good tips and tricks for how to best knit those socks. So if you need any help, go check out that thread because it is really helpful. And one other thing I will say is that the samples for the pattern were knit in like a variegated, or not really variegated, a tonal yarn. And my favorite ones for sure are the speckled and variegated, because the flower stitches pull out the different colors of the variegation in the yarn. So I think this pattern really sings with variegated and speckled yarns, personally. But I have seen tons of beautiful ones that are tonal and solid. And by the way, there is an FO thread in my Ravelry group now, so if you want to post your finished objects there. I think I'm still going to pull for prizes from just the chatter thread because I'm not so concerned that we all finish it. I just hope you'll be at least halfway done by the end of the cal, but I am a very relaxed knit-along person. And Jess from TheSweaterCo actually has sent us another prize, but it hasn't arrived here yet because she's from Australia, so I'll show that when it arrives. And one thing I wanted to add, hold on, let me look it up really quick so I know I have it right. Okay, found it. So I'm going to read from this really quick. Jess let me know when she sent the prize for the knit-along, and I thought I would share this with you because I just think it's awesome. So let me just read this. She says, "It's so exciting and overwhelming, but so far we've raised the equivalent for UNICEF to buy a school in a box that has enough educational materials to teach 40 students. And let's see, what else was it? Oh, and 30,000 water purification tablets. You guys, how crazy is that? So with all of your guys' purchases of the Fine and Dandy socks, the proceeds go to UNICEF, if you didn't already know that. And they've received enough funds now to donate for 40 students to get an education and 30,000 water purification tablets. How amazing is that? So congrats to you guys. Thank you so much for helping her raise those funds. That's so exciting and heartwarming that, we're doing some good in the world. And like also kind of sad in a way because the pattern was less than $1. So that just goes to show how little can go such a long way when we all work together. So I just think that's really, really exciting and touching. And thank you so much, Jess, for sharing that with me because I think it's really cool to be able to tell everyone about it. So those are my Fine and Dandy socks. Like I said, I'm hosting it with Amber of the Yarn Junkie podcast, and the cal goes until April 30th. So plenty of time to cast them on if you want. I need to go buy some more needles so I can start knitting those other socks first. Kind of shameful if I don't finish my own knit along, so fingers crossed that I do, because that could be a distinct possibility. Alright, next work in progress. If you follow me on Instagram, @JacquelineSalem, you'll have seen I have picked out colors for an exploration station. So I showed you guys colors last week. I decided to use the Skeinny dipping, the original purchase that I had made for the pattern. And it was like kind of the gray-brown color as opposed to the plum color. And part of it was motivated because I had those 2 skeins of the Fiber Story plum color that I could use together for something else. But even more so now, it's just because I like the color combination better. So it all worked out in the end. So I'll show you all the beautiful cakes. This is color A, the Skeinny dipping. And this is in their Merino singles, and the colorway is called Light Hearth. I just love Skeinny dipping yarn, you guys. You should definitely go check out that Etsy. I got this at Gauge Intention right before they closed, and it's just over dyed with black, and so it has this gorgeous sheen to it. Even though it's just merino, it feels so, there's a lot of depth to the color. My color B is Venus Flytrap. Venus Flytrap by Voolenvine Yarns, and this is on her Wolke base, which is an MCN, which is merino, cashmere, nylon. So this dark green. Color C is Hedgehog Fibres in Urchin, and this is their Skeinny singles base. So this is kind of a cream gray with flecks and speckles of dark purple, and sometimes, if I can find it, I'll show you on the outside, but this one has less hot pink speckles than other skeins of Urchin I've seen. Their skeins can vary quite a bit from skein to skein, even within the same colorway. But it's kind of hard to tell, but you can see right there, there's like that hot pink there. But mine, like I said, doesn't have as much hot pink in it, which I'm happy about. I kind of preferred it that way. And then color D is another Voolenvine Yarns and her Narwhal base. This is her silk blend, and this one is in the Succulents colorway. So all the cakes together. Look like this. I'm obsessed, you guys. I'm obsessed. I love it. I love this color combination so much. It feels like a rainy springtime to me in like the Pacific Northwest of the United States. That's what I think of when I see these colors, and I'm absolutely loving how they're working up. And this is my exploration station so far. I'm flying through it. I love it. I'm working on the second to the last wedge with the Hedgehog here before I switch to the last wedge, and then I'm in the brioche section. I've never done brioche, so we'll see how that goes. I'm really excited. Mina from the Knitting Expat podcast, she released a tutorial on how to do brioche, so that's what I'm going to use to learn brioche. And she also just today released a pattern on how to do 2 at a time socks. So if you're interested in that, go to her channel to check that out. That's Mina from the Knitting Expat podcast. So isn't this amazing? So the Light Hearth is right there, the Skeinny dipping, Succulents, Venus Flytrap, and then the Urchin, the Hedgehog Fibres. I think it's looking so cool. I'm knitting this on US 5s. The needles are actually supposed to be US 6s, which are 4mm, and 5s are 3.75mm. But wouldn't you know it, after I caked up all of this yarn, I looked at the pattern and it calls for the 6, and 6 is the only needle size I don't have from 0 to 9, of course. And it was, 9 at night, and I could not wait. And so I started on a 7 here, but this was just like too loosey-goosey for me, and my gauge has loosened up considerably since I first started knitting. Like even this it's pretty loose even. So I used the 5, switched to the 5 after this, and I think it's gonna be okay. Hopefully. I just don't want it to turn out too small, but yeah. So I'm so excited about my exploration station. I have been wanting to knit this since before I even cast on the Doodler and the Mystery Knitalong last year. I almost was going to cast on Exploration Station, and I realized he was releasing the Mystery Knitalong, so I was like, well, I might as well do the Doodler since it's the Mystery Knitalong with everyone else, and I can knit Exploration Station later. So I'm only just now getting around to it, but I'm in love. So that is Exploration Station for Skein Project. This has cleared a lot of my recently purchased stashed yarns out. Jafar wants to play with it. Maybe I should keep this on the table then. Alright. The next work in progress is a design project. So a lot of you on my 1,000 subscribers giveaway question, I asked what would you like to see more of on the podcast? And you mentioned design work. So I'm going to talk about a design project. And this one is for my sister. So as you know, or maybe you don't if this is your first time, but she's pregnant and due in July with a boy. And so she's decorating the nursery. I'm in the process of making her a quilt, which I showed on the last episode, so you should go check that out. I'm so in love with that, so I'm working on getting the backing with the front now. And she's requested a print above her crib. So the crib is, you know, kind of on a wall on its own, and she wants a 16 by 20 inch print above the quilt. And she gave me some very, you know, vague instructions, just kind of like, you do you. Excuse me. And so she gave me a list of colors that she likes, specifically requesting some green in it because she wants to incorporate more green into the nursery. It's kind of this woodlands theme, and she doesn't have any green really in it yet. So she knows she wants some green in it, and she wants kind of a mountain print, and she wants the words "be humble and kind" on it. My sister is a teacher, which, by the way, other than motherhood, teaching is probably, in my opinion, one of the noblest and also most thankless professions in the world, next to motherhood. And for all of you teachers out there, seeing, you know, like, my sister loves it and she's a great teacher, but it's a hard job, so I have a lot of respect for teachers. Anyway. She has commissioned, well, not really commissioned, that's one of the perks of having a sister as a graphic designer, to do this poster, or this print for her so she can get it printed on canvas. So I'm going to insert some pictures as I talk about it because I don't have prints of it yet because it's just a work in progress. So I'll kind of like talk you through like what I'm doing so far. I have it open on my computer so I can more easily talk about it. So I've started with some watercolor washes, some scanned watercolors. And I'm using that as kind of a background to this mountain print. And I'm not sold by the way on this, like the idea or what I've come up with 100%. I'm still very early stages, just playing around. And I've added kind of this dot pattern to the background of it. And then I've tried, in one version here, cutting out the watercolor washes into like mountains and kind of layering them that way, and then adding this dot pattern to the background and like a moon. I don't know. So we're just trying all these things right now. And then I want to incorporate, because in the one that I'm showing you right now, those are cut out into obvious mountains. It's like a very modern interpretation. But I thought it would be cool to add some more texture by using some drawings. So I've made this line drawing here of a mountain, just, you know, lines. And so I'm going to scan that and overlay that on top of the mountains, maybe the cutout mountains, or use this as the mountain itself on the more plain one. But then I drew this recently, and this is kind of like topography in a way. It looks very geographic. So I feel like I could maybe use this somehow. I'm not exactly sure, just kind of playing around and seeing what inspires me. So I'm going to try scanning this and seeing what I can do with this on top of the print. So right now it's in early stages. I still have to figure out a way to add the text and be humble and kind on top of the print. I know I want to use some sort of like brush script on it. Maybe I'll do some calligraphy. I don't know. We'll see. So that's kind of a work in progress that I'm working on right now, and we'll see where that goes. And then on that note, I thought it would be kind of cool to show you guys some of my drawings. I do a lot of illustration on the side. So in case you're interested in seeing that, I do like portraits of people, some people that I know, some people I don't know. This one's kind of unfinished. I gave my friend the finished one, but this is my friend Tracy and I. That's me. That's Tracy. A photograph. This was drawn from a photograph of someone on the beach. Again, drawn from a photograph. I draw a lot from photographs. two friends in a bubblegum blowing picture that I thought was really cool. Drawn from a sister's portrait. So you kind of get the idea. And so I just kind of wanted to put this out there so that you guys know. I mean, I do this for a living, not just illustration, graphic design specifically. But if you're interested in getting in touch about me doing custom illustrations for you, that's definitely something that's on the table for me. I'll go ahead and be upfront. I charge around $200 to $300 for a custom illustration. I'll insert a picture right here. One of my favorite projects I've done is a family portrait for my friend Melissa. She had me draw her sister, her aunt, and then her mom, who died a couple years ago of cancer. And so she kind of wanted this commemorative project of the four of them, because they're all really close, to kind of give as a Christmas present. So I did this portrait for her of the four of them, and that was one of my favorite projects. So family portraits are on the table. So if you're interested in something like that, please let me know, and you can get in touch at brooklynknitfolk@gmail.com if that's something that you're interested in. One caveat for design, and I'll go ahead and say this just because I've had a couple people already get in touch with me about it. I don't want to insult like what you know about the industry or anything like that. But logo design, which is one of the most frequent requests that I get for design, and I can pretty much guarantee that there's a lot of sticker shock associated with logo design. It's probably one of the most expensive projects in the industry just because it's priced for value and not necessarily, I mean, there is a lot of time that goes into it, don't get me wrong, but it's expensive. So I will be happy to give quotes for it, but just know that you'll probably be surprised at how much logo design costs in the graphic design industry. But portraits are something I think that are much more affordable, or custom illustrations, so if that's something you're interested in, please let me know. All right, stash additions. This is my first one. Knitting has made me purchase things I probably never would have purchased otherwise, and this is no exception to that. I saw this in St. Mark's in the East Village, and it was amongst a lot of other things, like, you know, just New York souvenirs and stuff like that, and they had this whole pile of pom-poms. So I was like, you know, purse jewelry. It's so not me that the irony of that makes that funny. So I've attached it to my purse and I've been using it, and it's been getting a lot of looks and funny laughs from my friends. So that's one acquisition. The next acquisition, so I showed in previous episodes that I would really love to knit the Addi shawl by Isolde Teague, and I can just imagine it in a much like tweed, like not tweed necessarily, but more rustic yarn. So I purchased 4 skeins, and this is not enough for the project. I only purchased what colorways I liked that Michelle Wong had left in Gauge Intention on the last day she was open. But I want to knit this out of Brooklyn tweed. So this is Shelter, the worsted weight in the colorway Hayloft. I want to use this for the border, and then I still have to get one more of these, probably from Pearl Soho, and then this should be enough. This is Barn Owl, again in Shelter, upside down. This is Barn Owl, and this should be enough for the body of the shawl. So these are my acquisitions for the Addi shawl by Isolde Teague. And then, yeah, that's it for acquisitions. So, yarn, pom-pom. I needed it, right? I needed it. I don't know why I'm putting that on my head. Okay, things I love. So sometimes I like to share with you random things that I'm enjoying and or find interesting at the time. The first thing I want to talk about, this is kind of a work in progress, but not really. It's more like a pro tip, you know? So I'm a sewist, but but I don't often sew garments from the ground up for myself, meaning I don't really go out and buy fabric and then make the garment the whole entire thing. I could, but I don't know, I just haven't for a really long time. My favorite thing to do is to go thrift store shopping for things that I like in theory. For example, this is much more of a winter thing. So this is obviously too big for me, but I like the idea of a velvet dress because, you know, American Apparel and whatnot, they're selling these things like crazy, but I don't really want to spend $80 on something from American Apparel that I could make myself. So I would take something like this, no joke you guys, no joke, and turn it into this. So I'm not kidding, like this right here, I mean, other than, no, I guess these are 3/4 length sleeves too. This looked like this when I started. And you can do this too. So altering thrift store finds is one of the simplest ways to kind of gain some sewing skills. So if you're scared to like ruin an entire pattern or, you know, something like that, or ruin a bunch of fabric, a lot of purchases, you know, because you're not a super accomplished sewist yet, this is a really great way to start. By buying things that are outrageously too big for you, or skirts that are like super, super long and you'd rather make them short, which I'll show you in just a second, and taking them in. So you literally just like, here, I'll show you the inside. The inside of it is probably, it's not pretty. That's the inside. I cut off all of the excess fabric. And just taking it in until it fits you. And then making it shorter. Sorry, again, this is really messy, but no one's gonna see the inside. It doesn't matter. That's the inside of it, and then hemming it. This was really long and really too big for me, so now I have this awesome velvet dress that I wear all the time in the winter. Another example, skirts. And this one I should have sewn with black thread instead of white thread, but I'm sure it's just because it's what I had at the time. This was a super long skirt that I cut and hemmed. Super, super easy. And to do this, all you have to do is just kind of measure how long with like a flexible measuring tape. Measure how long you want it to be, and then you can either use a template from as like a skirt that you already have that's the right length and you want to cut it to that length, so you could trace with a pencil around the edge of that at the bottom. You could eyeball it. And again, the investment is really low because thrift store skirts cost, you know, anywhere between what, $3 and $10. So, you know, all that you lose is $3 or $10 for this skirt. And something to keep in mind, because I kind of messed this up on some of my skirts when I first started doing this in high school. If you're making it super, like a mini skirt, like really short, just make sure that the back is slightly longer than the front, because you got to account for the booty if you have one. So yeah. So basically I could take the same dress and turn it into the other one, which is why I have it, and I plan on doing it because it's a slightly different color. This one's more plum purple, this one's red. So I think this would make a great Christmas dress at some point. So yeah, taking that in, making it shorter. I have a lot of velvet stuff right now. I went through very much a velvet phase. I still like velvet, but obviously it's springtime, so I'm not going to wear this now. But this one already fits in the waist, so I don't have to do anything with that. It's just the length. It's kind of like a calf, like mid-calf length, which is awkward on me, so I'm going to hem it to be right at my knees. So it'll be like a fitted pencil skirt right at the knees. And then this thing I bought recently, I have tons of these sitting in my fabric stash of clothes that I want to alter to fit me better. Like I said too, it's like if you have a skirt that's like just barely too big for you. It's like you can make clothes look so much better to fit them to your own body with really simple, you know, taking it in, tucks, shorter hems if it will make your legs look longer. This might be weird to some of you. My mom thought this one was kind of an odd purchase when I got it. But it's like an overall dress. And it's too long now. It's like a stupid length. But I think this would look so cute if it was like mid-thigh length for summer. This corduroy. So that's definitely one that I'll finish before it gets warm out. So yeah, I thought I'd just share that little tip with you guys. Low investment and a great way to get some basic sewing skills, especially if you just got a sewing machine and don't know how to use it yet. Like, that's a really great way to kind of get yourself started, is by altering thrift store finds. So the next things that I love, the Song Exploder podcast. This is not a knitting podcast. This one's available on iTunes for free. It's called Song Exploder. A music artist will dissect for about 15 to 20 minutes. They'll dissect a song that they have in their, like one of their songs. So for example, if you really like a Tame Impala song, they will dissect the song from concept to completion, and then they play the full song at the end so you can kind of appreciate all the things that you've just learned about the song. I think it's really, really cool. The podcasts are 15 to 20 minutes each, and the cool thing is you can tell what artist it is that they're going to do the song about, so you know, like, if you don't like rap music, for example, you're not going to listen to the one about this rap artist. So you can kind of pick and choose based on the songs that you know you like. And then the last one, this one's not really, I would say, something that I love, but something I found really interesting, is called The Hunting Ground. This is a documentary that premiered at the, Sundance, at the Sundance Film Festival last year, and it's about sexual assaults. It's a documentary, like I said, sexual assaults that happen on college campuses and United States college campuses, and kind of their failure to adequately help the assault victims. Going so far sometimes as to like victim blame and retaliate and harass the students that are victims of these sexual assaults. It was a really difficult documentary to watch, I have to be honest. It's available on Netflix, but I think it's a really important topic that needs maybe a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? More attention. Yeah, more attention than what we're giving it. So I think it's something that's worth your time to watch. Like I said, again, a really difficult topic, but something that's really important. So that's called The Hunting Ground, and that's available on Netflix. Upcoming events. You guys, I'm so excited. So Sarah from the Yarns at Yin-Hoo podcast is hosting a farm and fiber tour getaway, and I signed up earlier this year to do it. It's a very budget-friendly, economical trip, and it happens to be in Salem, New York, so I basically had to go. Salem's my last name, by the way, in case you're new to this podcast. And I'm so excited, and that's next weekend. So I'm driving up with my friend Jenny, who is Salmon Knits on Ravelry. Hi Jenny, if you watch this, I'm not sure that you do. And the farms have alpacas, rabbits, goats, sheep, llamas, and I've heard there are baby cashmere goats that are at these to pet. So basically at all of these farm and fiber tours, we're gonna get, free demos of spinning and knitting, weaving, felting, and then like things, weavings and yarn and hand spun will be available for purchase. So I cannot wait to like hop around all these farms and check out how they raise their livestock. I'm just so excited, and that's next weekend. Sarah has done a really wonderful job of organizing this farm and fiber tour getaway. Sarah has a podcast, by the way. It's called the Yarns at Yin-Hoo podcast, and it's by far my favorite podcast of all time. My favorite one. It's an audio podcast on on iTunes. And it's by far my favorite podcast. So I cannot wait to go to this. I'm so excited. I'm actually, she asked the crowd, by crowd I mean like the 10 of us or so who are going. It's a very small amount of people. if we wanted to teach any mini classes, and I told her that I was like thinking about teaching this color theory class, which I've been promising you guys a video that I was going to make, and I just haven't done it yet, but I have all the content ready for it, and but I don't know with color theory like how much people already know or don't know on that topic. And she's like, I think people will be interested in it, and it's a sign-ups type of deal, so if they are, they are, and if they're not, they're not. And a lot of people have signed up to do this beginner's color theory class, so I'm pretty pumped about it, and hopefully it will give me the final push I need to make this video for you guys, because I really do want to make this color theory video. I think it will be really helpful for you, but I just want to do it right is the thing. So there's a lot that goes on in the video that's not just something I can like hold up and show you. I have to show you lots of examples, and so I'm trying to think through the best way to show the examples without having to purchase a ton of stuff. So that's kind of where my head is with that. But yeah, so I'm going to be teaching a beginner's color theory mini course at night after dinner one night. And so yeah, that's next weekend, and I am so excited. I'll definitely take some videos and hopefully make a little vlog while I'm out there. And yeah, can't wait. Another upcoming event, things I have on my mind. I really would love to do these are a few of my favorite things swap. So I want to organize a swap. So stay tuned for that. I'm still thinking through what exactly I want to have included in the swap, because I don't want to put too much pressure. I want it to be fairly small but very thoughtful. So I'll talk more about that in the next episode, but just know that that's on my mind. And then also Katrina from the Yarn 30 podcast, she and I are going to be hosting another knit-along, and we're thinking of something along the lines of warm weather knits. So something that's like spring color inspired, like cool colors, or cotton and linen blend yarns, or, you know, we haven't exactly thought through the specifics of that, but that again is something that's coming up and will be great for the warmer months that are ahead. And with that, the giveaway, the last thing. So, Jen Engelbrecht of Engelbrecht Makes, she contacted me and said she wanted to send something for the podcast to do as a giveaway. She makes the most adorable bags. I haven't taken it out of the packaging yet because I wanted to show you. She sent one for me, thank you, and one for you guys. Check out this bag. Yours is exactly the same. I just want to leave it in the packaging so that you can have it as nice as possible by the time you get it. This is huge, you guys. Box bottom. This adorable hedgehog print, and look at this little hedgehog zipper pull. She is Engelbrecht Makes on Etsy. I'll put all of the information in the show notes for you to go check it out. And in addition to this giveaway that we're going to be doing over on Ravelry, she's also offering Brooklyn Knitfolk watchers a 20% discount. So if you go to her Etsy shop, you can get 20% off by typing in Brooklyn Knitfolk, one word in all caps, on any of the ready-to-ship items that are in her shop right now. So go check her out. She has some really beautiful bags and quilts. She again has a very modern aesthetic. It's like very modern patterns, and the fabrics that she uses are also like very contemporary and geometric. So I really love everything that's in her shop. But this is the bag that we're giving away. And to win this, there'll be a thread that I will open on Ravelry with a prompt to answer, and that's how we'll do this giveaway for this beautiful bag. Got the green hedgehogs, this purple polka dot contrast fabric. There's a pocket. This is a amazing size. I'm definitely going to put my exploration station in this because I have 4 balls of yarn to hold, so this will be just perfect. And handle. And it came in this really gorgeous craft paper packaging. Her business, her logo and seal. And then I believe yeah, she has her business card in here and her label. This is just such a beautiful bag. It's the total package. I love the colors. Love it. Obviously, my exploration station is kind of these colors. So yeah, head over to Ravelry to go and enter to win this beautiful bag. And that's by Engelbrecht Makes by Jen Engelbrecht. And again, she's offering 20% off to Brooklyn Knitfolk watchers with the code brooklynknitfolk. So go check out her bag. She has some patchwork bags that are like insanely reasonably priced too that I saw in there. So go check that out. Aren't these beautiful? And with that, that's our episode, folks. I hope you guys have a really great 2 weeks until I see you next. I have so much in store for you to show you with the Farm and Fiber Tour getaway and my Brooklyn Knitfolk in the city, Brooklyn Knitfolk in the wild videos, which I'm so glad that you guys are enjoying. And yeah, so stay in touch via Instagram, go enter the giveaway on Ravelry, and I will see you guys in the next video.